In the highly competitive and pretty colorful pickup truck market, there are trucks that stand out and there are those that don't. The thing with the latter is that these trucks usually look great on paper, particularly their engines, but they eventually turn out to be a total letdown. If you want to hear more about the problematic ones, stay with us because 7 pickup truck models with the worst engines are coming. Let's start the countdown. Number 7. Ford EcoBoost 2.7. Ford's turbocharged V6 sounds like a great proposal for potential F-150 buyers, but the thing is that although it's undoubtedly a capable unit with an impressive power-to-weight ratio and plenty of torque, it's among the least reliable engines in the truck universe. Reliability issues are various, starting from the most common problems with the timing chain, which tends to stretch way sooner than you would normally expect. Then there's the problem with carbon buildup on the intake, something that troubles most modern direct injection engines, but in this case it's so bad that specialized cleaning is pretty much a part of the regular maintenance routine for all those owners who want to prevent misfires. All that increases maintenance and repair costs significantly, which is a real shame considering the engine's power and torque figures. If you're in the market for a used model, also keep in mind that earlier versions suffer from oil pan leaks because of the poor gasket sealing. Apparently, that has been solved with newer iterations of the engine. So even though power and torque figures suggest strong towing and hauling capabilities, the F-150 with this engine is not exactly the most trusted work companion. Simply, it's too problematic, and besides the aforementioned issues, there's also the matter of its complex construction, which includes a turbocharging system as well. Yet another potential problem. The Blue Oval claims it made updates over the years and made it more reliable, but the choice is pretty clear in our book. A naturally aspirated unit with larger displacement, something that proved its value over the years, like the good old V8 Coyote. Number 6. Chevrolet Silverado 2.7 Turbo 4. Chevy was one of the first truck makers to drop a naturally aspirated V6 and offer a Turbo 4 instead of base variants of its full-size truck. At first, things looked great. That engine is good for 310 horsepower and features an impressive 430 pound-feet of torque, almost as much as the massive 6.2-liter V8. It's capable and also more efficient than the typical naturally aspirated V6, but on the other hand, it lacks refinement of a V6 engine. More importantly, with just 4 cylinders and for a full-size truck, small displacement, it's pretty obvious that a lot depends on the boost coming from the turbo. Therefore, the engine is characterized by a noticeable turbo lag and unimpressive throttle response in lower RPMs. It's not something you'd expect in a vehicle that spends a good part of its day towing. Also, with so much stress caused by turbo boost, it's no surprise that there are many reports about the engine's excessive wear on key components such as pistons and rods. Traditional GM customers who predominantly appreciate proven technology usually choose some other engine option on offer. And it turns out they were right from the very beginning, because although this Turbo 4 is efficient, many owners express frustration with its noisy operation and excessive vibrations. Moreover, many see it more appropriate for the mid-size Colorado, believing that it can only work as a lighter-duty powertrain, considering the limitations and perception of being underbuilt for demanding tasks associated with full-size trucks. Number 5. Toyota Tacoma 3.5 V6. Okay, the new generation of Toyota's popular midsize truck got rid of this V6 and now has a way more capable Turbo 4. But for those looking for a used Tacoma, that V6 could end up as a big disappointment, because even though it's one of the most reliable engines in the class, it's also a serious underperformer. So unlike most other engines on this list, this one isn't bad because of questionable reliability or anything like that. It's perfectly fine in that matter, but truckers usually look for a bit more than just reliability. They want a unit that's also capable, and we're not sure we can call Toyota's V6 exactly that. First of all, its 278 horsepower and 265 pound-feet of torque isn't much by today's standard, and most rivals offer way more. Furthermore, it's a naturally aspirated engine, so the max power and torque are reserved for high RPMs. Then there's the fact that this is an Atkinson cycle engine. That means it's rather focused on efficiency than performance, so throttle response is worse compared to similar V6 units. And it's not particularly efficient either, but rather one of the thirstiest models in the class. Add to this an outdated 6-speed automatic transmission that became infamous for its gear hunting nature, and it becomes pretty clear that if you look for anything that's just a tiny bit beyond plain reliability, then this engine is not one to go with. Number 4. Chevy Silverado GMC Sierra 3.0 Duramax. GM's pickups remained the only ones in the light-duty segment that had a diesel engine. And why wouldn't they? On paper, that inline 6 looks like an amazing proposal. Decent power, impressive torque, and even more impressive fuel economy. Who wouldn't like to have a pickup that's capable and fuel efficient at the same time? The only problem is that the reality is a little bit different. Traditionally, maintenance of a diesel engine is much more expensive, so all that money you save on fuel usually goes on repairs. Modern diesels are problematic in particular. Because of strict emission standards, their emission systems are way too complex and often cause trouble. Diesel particulate filters and selective catalytic reduction are just some of the things that cause costly repairs and frustration. Other typical diesel engine issues are there too. Although not widespread, issues with turbochargers and fuel systems can occur as well. So altogether, its refinement and fuel sipping nature probably won't mean much to their owners, due to major long-term reliability concerns. Number 3. Toyota Tundra Twin Turbo V6. When Toyota brought the current generation Tundra, we were impressed with its new 3.4-liter twin-turbo V6 with the max power output of 389 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque. That engine raised the Tundra's performance to the next level, and since it was still a Toyota, no one doubted its reliability, though we had a feeling that it probably wouldn't be as bulletproof as the old V8. It turned out to be much worse than that. It turned out to be one of the most problematic new engines on the pickup market. Last summer, Toyota recalled more than 100,000 of these engines. The recall followed the discovery of machining debris left within the engine during manufacturing, which led to numerous problems. Owners reported engine knocking, loss of power, and even failures at pretty low mileage. Suddenly, all those years of building a reputation as the most reliable truck went down the drain. Once again, the Tundra needs to prove its value. While the company claims the problems have been fixed, and we have no reason to believe Toyota officials, it's clear that time can be the only judge in this case. In the meantime, it may be a smart move to consider something else in this segment. Number 2. Ford Ranger 2.3 EcoBoost. Ford's midsize pickup truck has been available with this Turbo 4 engine for a long time, and it definitely is a good engine if we look solely at the numbers. 270 horsepower and 310 pound-feet of torque are quite respectable for the class. But things are a little bit different in the real world. Considering the relatively small displacement and forced induction, it's no surprise that a noticeable turbo lag is one of the most common complaints. But that's not the biggest problem, not even close. This engine has a couple of major reliability issues, starting from carbon buildup on intake valves, which leads to poor fuel efficiency, misfires, and major engine damage if not addressed in time. The 2.3-liter EcoBoost is also famous for its coolant intrusion problem, where coolant can leak into cylinders. This major defect can cause major engine failures and usually leads not only to costly repairs, but complete engine replacements. The cooling system itself is not great, so the engine has been prone to overheating when towing or off-roading. With that in mind, the Ranger certainly isn't the best choice if your main concern are things like demanding workloads or long-haul drives. We haven't even mentioned other issues typically associated with turbocharged engines, which all lead to the conclusion that this Turbo 4 isn't something most truck buyers are looking for. Number 1. Ford F-150 Hybrid. Ford had the idea to offer a hybrid powertrain that would be pretty much anything else in terms of performance, blended with excellent efficiency. However, it seems that the Blue Oval engineers need to revisit the drawing board and develop a more reliable hybrid system because this one falls short. Owners reported issues with the integration of the hybrid system, such as sudden loss of power, erratic engine behaviors, malfunctioning regenerative braking, and the general lack of refinement. These problems can be particularly dangerous when driving, while the fact that the system may be too complex leads to various reliability issues. Diagnosing and repairing these issues can sometimes be quite difficult and requires time and money. No trucker wants that in its workhorse. This hybrid is questionable in many ways, with unproven reliability. Potential high repair costs are everywhere, starting from complex turbo engines and ending with costly hybrid components, including batteries. Altogether, an F-150 with this powertrain clearly is a big gamble for anyone looking for a dependable truck, whether it's about work or recreation. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.